Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay.
Hello and welcome to week 9 of the NFL season on Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. I'm your host, Nick Fiorentino. Alongside me are Sir and Tim. How we doing, fellas?
Good, man. The season's halfway done, bro. It's a little sad, man. Where did it all go?
Jets, Jets. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, this might be the only time, week 9, this year so far, where all three of our teams are coming off dubs. So let's just throw that up real quick. There you go. Of course, we are facing the Detroit Lions for the Eagles winning. You are facing Justin Fields, but, you know, a win is a win no matter what. And Tim actually the Jets earned it with Mike White.
Sure.
I thought you were going to say who? Mike White? Who?
You mean Tom Brady Jr.? Who are we talking about here?
This is only my I think third or fourth episode during the NFL season, so we got to get the chemistry back. We've lost it over and over. So.
Hey, where you been at, homie? You know what I'm saying?
you knew Nick was coming back because motherfucker won the SBDFS. Spoiler alert, I won't wait till that portion of the show. As soon as Nick won, I said, well, at least we got our host back this week, because his ass is coming back grinning ear to ear. He's not coming like, short bits of fish. He's like, welcome.
He's over. Happy Homer right now.
I was personally offended when you described our guest last week, and thank you, Tim, for jumping on, a.k.a. Sleeves, a.k.a. the best referee in flag football history, Tim. Jumping in and filling in the guest role. But when you refer to him as the back-to-back DFS champ, I had to make sure that it was not a 3-time. So you never know when I might pop into one of those pools for a measly $3. But when I do, once again, it's Dub City. Although I think Sir finished second on that, right?
Yeah. You got me. And Mr.
Whole thing, and I started at finally played Bobby Anderson when he was good. I mean, he's getting targets every single week, but it was he didn't get it done.
The move that cost me was starting your boy, Mr. Gainwell. Your boys put up 44 points. Everybody and their mama got a rushing touchdown. Gainwell, donuts.
I think I started Gainwell too, though. That's the only thing.
Donuts. He put up more, same number as me, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, he didn't play so well. We should have seen that coming, though, honestly. I mean, everybody was high on Gainwell, and Boston Scott sat on free agency, and we know how they use the running back position. And Nick Sirianni, obviously, with Jonathan Taylor last year and Nyheim Hines. It looks like Gainwell's the Nyheim Hines guy on this offense, and that he's not going to be a feature back, and we should have known that, honestly, especially being a Knicks fan.
There was even a Jordan Howard sighting. Where'd he been at? I didn't realize he was still in the league.
They brought that dude off from the street. They're like, yo, you still got your jersey from last year? He's like, yeah. Like, all right, you got gold.
And Jordan Howard, too. You got what, 12? A good. I want to talk at the Jets for sure. We know the Niners have a big game coming up against the Arizona Cardinals, fresh off a defeat to the Green Bay Packers, and we'll get into all that. We'll talk about your teams too, not just mine. But before we do that, you'll notice Scott, our reigning, defending standings champ, is not here. I think he's on vacation somewhere, or he's doing something. I don't know where he is, but he's not.
Vacation during football season, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Listen, he's Mr. TruExact himself is not committed. But he is 15-1, and he did give us his 3 picks, and he's been red hot this entire season, so you're going to want to hear those. I have nothing in the way of future shows for the TruExact show, for any of that kind of stuff. Random University, Scott didn't give me that information, so check the site for any of that. And obviously, Fred's going to be talking all things pro wrestling. I'm sure John Moxley is going to be a topic of conversation. AEW was a great show last night. I watched the whole thing.
Can we just give a shout out real quick to Freddie, because doing this shit by yourself is not the easiest thing. And not for nothing, I listened to his last episode, and my man was he brings it, man. He knows his wrestling, that's for sure. I shared his shit. I was like the professor, because that's what he is. That dude's a book of knowledge, more knowledge than he should about wrestling. I promise you that. But
and ladies, he's single, believe it or not. But he, so it is what it is. But anyway, so we'll get into the picks. But before we do that, obviously, sir, team came off a big win against Chicago. I had that.
So, sir, he had you losing last week. I guarantee you. Sorry, Nick, you froze there for a second. I'll pick up what you're throwing down.
My internet crapped out for a second.
Yeah, it's all good. You're back.
We're going to have to drink to every time my internet craps out, so.
Oh, you're going to be lit, buddy.
Technical difficulties, but no, sir, coming off a big win. Obviously facing the Arizona Cardinals this week. Cardinals laying 1 point, I believe, on the road. It's in San Francisco, correct? Last time they played was a few weeks ago, but it was a Trey Lance show, and they lost 17-10. So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on where they're at right now, and what do you think for the second half of the season?
I think I know it's one because I think Kyler's status is up in the air. I believe he's questionable. The offense looks a lot different with Jimmy G out there. Like, it looks a little bit more fluid. Like, they actually have to respect both the pass and the run with Trey. It's kind of like, all right, just stack the box, guard the run, and let him beat you with his arm. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? It should be a division. I always say division games are always tough. And in this division, every game is a battle. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I will say I am screaming Jimmy G because Tom Brady's on a bye in my biggest fantasy league. So I'm going to be a huge 49ers fan, at least in terms of offensive production. Not to foreshadow my picks for that segment. But Tim, we listened to Scott start off the show last week talking about why do you talk me into betting the Jets? It's always the same old Jets. And I think that's such a tired narrative. And if I was on the show last week, that probably would have been the point I would make. And I'm not saying that I would have predicted them to beat Cincinnati. I don't think anybody would have predicted that. But if they did, they won a lot of money. But it's not the same old Jets. You just got to take every game at a time. And it looks like they have a quarterback controversy. I don't think it's a quarterback controversy, but what do you think of what you've seen so far from Mr. Mike White? What are you looking forward to watching him do tonight? And what do you think about the second half of your season?
Well, I mean, nobody, and I mean nobody, except for the dude who bet $1,000 for him to be the have the most passing yards. Nobody thought that was going to happen last week. I mean, listen, Tom Brady got his chance via injury. I know this guy's had chances before. It's not the same exact scenario, but he finally got a chance to play. He looked pretty damn good. Got to give his guy his due there. But is it going to surprise me that you give the Jets fans a sliver of hope, and then we go out and we have a dud tonight and lose by 21 to the Colts, and we don't look good at all? Yeah, that's more on that's got a better chance to happen than him winning back-to-back games and throwing 400 yards. I just don't see it happening again. We need our future to be healthy. So the fact that he's playing well, sure. Let Wilson sit a couple more weeks. Wait till he's fully healthy and then bring him back. That's what I'm hoping for. End of the season, you got to have Wilson at the quarterback position, and then go from there.
You might have a fair amount of people, myself included, in survivor pools that are still in their pools. Those people did not pick Cincinnati last week. I did pick Cincinnati last week in one of my pools, and I am no longer in that pool. But I am in the biggest money one still, and there's 50 people left. And I feel like Indianapolis is going to be picked heavy. Would you be confident in that pick? I am not picking them. I've already picked Buffalo.
1,000%. I would be confident in that pick. I know what the Jets are about. I don't see it I don't see him coming back-to-back weeks. With that being said, Michael Carter's looking really good at the running back position, and a lot of not to fast forward to our prop bets, but they have been using him out of the backfield in a receiving form, and that's basically all he did against Cincinnati. It was check down central and give the player a chance in space and make people miss. So that was as far as fantasy wise. I know I had Carter on the bench in 4 leagues because I'm a Jets homer and he's a starting running back. But over the past 2 weeks, he's been, especially in PPR leagues, been ridiculously well.
Sick. Am I under the impression that you think the Jets going to get blown out tonight?
Oh yeah, I already have
there's been 2 weeks that we both thought the Jets would get blown out, and what happened? The Jets came out and won the game. So,
well, that was last week, sir. Last week I didn't think they were.
It was also the Tennessee game. We thought the Tennessee would go up in there and beat the brakes off.
I learned my lesson. If you recall last week,
I remember.
I said this is
because last week I picked the Bengals -11, donkey, and you were like, "Sir, I did that once before, and I got Jet. You might get Jet this week."
We'll see, sir. We'll see. I alt-lined it to 20.5. I'm not gonna lie.
It's listen, Mike. Why he didn't look that bad? He didn't look half bad. I mean,
you're right.
So,
but
we'll see.
A little game film to a real NFL team.
I'm with you.
I'm just telling you.
I understand that little game film. See what his tendencies are to see what he likes to do. You learn something and then you exploit it. But just saying, 21 points. Not a lot of teams are getting blown out by 20. Look at the Texans last week. Saying they were getting blown out. They a little backdoor covered.
Mad.
I'm sure they cost some people some money though last week too.
Yeah. Well, and I think the interesting thing with the Jets is that they've beaten the Titans. The Titans have beaten the Colts. And who are the Jets playing tonight? So really, the Jets are the best of the 3 teams, even though the Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC right now if the season ended today.
You've been watching too many fucking memes on Facebook talking about the Jets being the best at anything. The Jets are the best last place team and they might not even be in last place, but they hopefully they find their way there. Listen, we're just a couple pieces away, man. A couple offensive linemen built from the inside out, and you'd be surprised what a team could do.
Shout out to your coach. You know what I'm saying? It's a good coach right there.
My man was fucking pumped.
I remember all last year when I was every time the defense would make a stand, he'd be ready to run out there and make a play. Like
when they made the goal line stand, I think it was a set. When they threw the interception and they gave him goal to go very early in the game, and they came up with the goal line stand back and got the turnover on downs. He was
he's
fired.
He's locked into that game. Like he ain't just sitting there like, oh, good job, guys. No, he's ready. So
you can tell he likes defense more than offense, though. For sure. You can tell he likes defense more than offense.
Oh, absolutely.
He definitely likes defense more. As an Eagles fan, I want Indianapolis to win because a loss at home against the Jets would be terrible in terms of benching Carson Wentz, inevitably, costing the Eagles a first-round draft pick. And I like the idea right now of the Eagles having 3 top 10 draft picks. But I just have a feeling that of the 50 people that remain in my one survivor pool, that at least 15 to 20 are going to be on Indy. So, it remains to be seen. But we'll definitely talk about the game in terms of prop bets and anytime touchdowns. I have a couple anytime touchdowns I like. So we'll see there. But we'll get into the pick segment. Scott, like we mentioned, week 8. Scott is 15-8-1. Tim is 12-11-1 after a 3-0 week last week. We'll mention that. Sir is 10-13-1, and I can't make out what I am, so we'll just move on. So
it's nice to be the host.
8-16, but we all know that this is exactly where I want to be because I was in last place for most of last year and then came back and won on the last week of the year. So,
sir, are you doing the three-headed monster or whatever you called it this year?
I think
that was the leadoff. You did that, and then off you went.
It's crazy. I think Nick's internet just went out. Imagine.
Tim is just legitimately drinking straight from the bottle. I am too, but my bottle is Topo Chico.
I didn't have a lot left. Sir came over and drank all my shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was doing singles. Sir was doing triples. Some bullshit.
I don't know what you speak of, old boy.
Yeah.
We'll start with Scott's pick. Scott is taking Carolina plus 3.5 against New England. He is taking San Francisco getting 1 point against the Arizona Cardinals, and he is taking the Cincinnati Bengals coming off a loss to the Jets, laying 2.5 points against the Cleveland Browns. I will just go next just based on the simple fact that 2 of my games are directly against Scott, which doesn't bode well for me, but I do like New England laying 3.5. Bill Belichick has been coaching great. Mac Jones has been playing very well for a rookie. Might be the best rookie quarterback so far this year. I think it's at least debatable. He has him playing really, really well, and I just think that we really don't know who the quarterback is right now for Carolina. I mean, it should be Sam Darnold, but he's concussed, coming off concussion. If it's PJ Walker,
XFL standout,
XFL legend PJ Walker, I just don't see how New England doesn't just beat the brakes off them. So I do like that pick. I kind of like Arizona, but I'm going to lay off that because I like 2 other picks a little bit more. I do like the Packers getting 7.5, and I understand no Aaron Rodgers, but you saw they just beat the Arizona Cardinals, and that was without any wide receivers whatsoever. And I'm not looking for them to win the game. They don't have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who have not looked good over the whole season. I just need them to be competitive at 7.5. Just be in the game. I mean, if the Giants can be in the game, if other teams can be in the game, why can't the Green Bay Packers, who I think are better than the Eagles, and I think they're better than the Redskins, based off those lines, even with Jordan Love. So I think the Packers plus 7.5 is a really good bet. And I think if they are going to cover 7.5, I definitely believe the game is going to go under. So my 3 bets are going to be the Packers plus 7.5, the under on 48, and New England laying 3.5. And my bets are all based off of Barstool Sports. So I'm using the Barstool app for my bets. That's where those lines came from. So
imagine not giving your buddy a code to the Barstool. You're the fucking worst.
Tim, what do you got?
I'll go next. Fine, Nick. I'll start with the pick in agreement that I have with you, and that's the Patriots 3.5 against Carolina. I mean, if Sam Darnold starts the game, it's Bill Belichick coaching against Sam Darnold, which is in history has shown not to be good for Sam Darnold. If it's PJ Walker, it's Bill Belichick coaching against, we'll call him a rookie, although he's not, but it's still the same. The only saving grace is if McCaffrey is playing this week, but that's still up in the air.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah. With that being said, Patriots have looked great the past 2 weeks. I mean, I picked against them last week, and they burned me in a live bet, which motherfucker, that didn't feel good, but that's okay. My other 2 games are over-unders, and I know I hate picking unders. God damn it, sir is already pissed off at me right now. Give me the Rams and the Titans under 54. I mean, listen, there's no Derrick Henry. There's nothing to be scared about in that backfield. You gotta play Tannehill without his stud running back. You might as well put him back on the Dolphins. You might as well. I think he reverts back to his old ways. Listen, both teams average are under 54 combined, regardless. And now you're taking one of the key pieces out. I'll take the under all day. My over. I went with him last week. I told you what the average points that Jimmy G was putting up as a starting quarterback, and he went over it. I also like the Niners to win the game outright, sir. I just something about their team with Jimmy G back there. They look really good on offense, and the Cards are, they're coming off an iffy game. They couldn't even beat fucking Green Bay without their whole offense, basically. They had to stop a running back. They couldn't stop a running back. Eli Mitchell could have a great game in that same respect. And if he's going the Niners offense, you're not stopping if they can run the ball. Over 45, I could see it happening pretty easy. I mean, that's only 5 more points than what the spread was last week. With a worse team than the Cards on offense, I don't know. Justin Fields versus Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's lifetime ahead. I'm just going over 45. Makes too much sense in my head.
All right, I hear you. All right, so I'm a little worried about my first pick because I'm kind of in agreement with both you guys. Give me the Patriots minus 3.5. As you said, Sig, Belichick has owned Sam Darnold in his career.
Nope.
3-0 against the spread, wins by 14, 33, and 35 points. He's got his number, and if PJ Walker comes out, that number is not going to be 3.5. It's probably going to be like 6 or 7. So if you want it, put it in now. My second one. Give me Baltimore minus 6 against the Vikings. 2 weeks ago, the Ravens got the break speed off them by Joe Burrow and company. And then they had a bye week, so they had some time to sit and think and like, man, get out there. So crazy little stat for you. First of all, John Harbaugh is 9-4 against the spread off a bye. Kirk Cousins 1-10 against the spread against a team off a bye. Those two trends show that Baltimore should give them the business on Sunday. Their game. This line was a little shaky to me. Give me the Raiders minus 3.5 against the Giants. The Giants are 2-6 off a short week. The Raiders are 5-2 off a bye. So they've had time to rest, study. I mean, I don't know if it's really much to study off the Giants, but they must have had some study, get right. 3.5? It's a little shaky, so give me the Raiders.
Yeah, some of their team did a little resting over the break. Not all of them.
Oh, yeah. That's too much resting, too much indulging, too much,
stupidity.
You know what I'm saying? When you drink too much, the stupidity comes out, and man,
But we digress.
don't give the weak, old boys. Don't give the weak.
That is a rip. Yep.
Okay, so great picks. A lot of alignment on New England outside of Scott, but he's not here to defend himself, so we'll just assume Scott's wrong.
As he always is.
We will go into fantasy, the DFS slate. I will preface by saying that my lineup is subject to change on a couple different things, but I can give you what I like right now. But I'm not going to go first this time. Sir, why don't you kick it off?
Hold on. I came in last place now, so we'll go worst to first.
Go ahead.
Y'all got lucky last week, by the way. Fucking scumbags.
Boy, see, sir, that's what happens when you pick on the Jets, Mo. You were like, oh, they're playing the Jets. They're playing the Jets.
First of all, my picks played well against the Jets. It was the rest of my picks that didn't do well. Jalen Waddle, in the words of Sir, I'm looking at you, Mo. Catch the ball. Emmanuel Sanders, the Gopher. A couple Jimmies I was not very happy with on Sunday, but it's okay. It's all right. We'll roll it over to this week.
It's a new week. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it is. I know, goddamn, sir. With that being said, let's pick on a team that we picked on last week, but in the reverse. Cincinnati Bengals defense, I'm looking at you. Baker Mayfield at quarterback, 5,400. Mike White threw for 400 yards against you. Mike White. Who? Exactly. Thank you, Nick. You're right. You see, we got it back. It took a couple minutes on the episode. I'm pairing him not with a wide receiver. No. With what I think could be a check down specialist. Mr. Nick Chubb, 6,200. My running back number 2, I said his name before, Eli Mitchell, 5,800 against Arizona. I watched him last week, every single down right next to you, sir. When he was in the game, your boys were moving the ball. Keep him in there, keep him going. Wide receivers
I'm trying to tell you about that boy. That boy, he can run.
I know, my man. Wide receiver 1 and 2. Pretty much no-brainers in my book. Jamar Chase, 6,700. I like that Cleveland-Cincinnati game. At this point, I probably should have just bet the over, but I didn't. And give me Stephon Diggs at 7,700 against Jacksonville. And those are, top receivers. There's no real reason why I'm picking them besides the fact that I think points are going to be scored in those games, and they're the 2 best receivers on those teams. Wide receiver 3. Give me Tajay Sharp, 4,200 versus New Orleans. With Calvin Ridley given his sabbatical and getting his mental health, thank God he's doing that versus what other people are doing nowadays. But Tajay went 5 for 58 last week, and his role's only going to expand with another week of prep in the offense, and hopefully he does better than his 4,200 price point. Tight end, third week in a row. 3 weeks he's improved. We're going for week number 4 here. Dallas Goedert, 4,500 versus the Chargers. I mean, as long as Philly has to throw the ball and they don't run the ball for fucking 4 touchdowns in the red zone, that should be Goddard territory right there. Flex. Here's the one change that might happen right now. Give me Amari Cooper, 5,700 versus Denver. Check the injury report. I know he might be hurt. Make sure Dak's playing. Even though it didn't matter, Dak didn't play last week. I think Denver's defense is still a little bit better. Right now, he's in the flex at 5,700. That could be moved around. There's a lot of people there that could put up points. And defense, I don't know. I got to go cheap. No Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, Scott. Jordan Love's a QB. I don't know what he is yet. Sure, he could put poop on KC like everyone else does. But right now, I got KC defense in there, 2,300. That's my team.
All right. So my team, Sarah, I'm gonna start with the defense because I also went with the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, the last 3 weeks they've held opponents under 30. Now, listen, the first beginning of the season they were giving up points to us, but they've been better the last 3. I mean, whatever. And they've also had an interception in 3 straight games. So that's fantasy points, ladies and gentlemen. 2,300, put him in. Now at quarterback, give me Lamar Jackson, 7,300. Like I like having a dual threat quarterback in my lineup because rushing yards, you get 10 yards per point. So, plus he's been running. If you can connect a deep ball to Mr. Hollywood Brown, who's also on my team at 6K, like Hollywood Brown has slate-breaking ability. Like if he can just catch the ball, he gonna put up some numbers. At rush running back, I went with with Mr. Corduroy Patterson, 6,300. Like with no Ridley, his role in the offense is he's going to improve. He's been putting up double-digit points every week. At 1,600. Way too cheap. Running back 2, give me goddamn James Conner at 5,300. If he's going to burn my boys, I might as well get some fantasy points out of it. He has a touchdown in 5 of the 8 games this season. Every time they get into the red zone, I feel like they tell Chase Edmonds to go sit down and put this brother in, and he usually finds the end zone. So
and he scored against you guys last time.
Absolutely, he did. So 5,300, whatever, put him in. Receiver 2, you mentioned it. Give me Jamar Chase. I don't know. I like watching him play because every time he gets the ball in his hands, he's making somebody miss and he's finding the end zone. So he's going to put up big time numbers. Wide receiver 3, give me Mecole Hardman, 3,900. He's been behind Tyreek Hill. Hasn't been the same Tyreek Hill. The whole offense hasn't been the same, but Mecole Hardman has been putting in work on this offense. And at 3,900, that's way too cheap. Tight end, give me Tyler Conklin, 3K. Listen, he's gotten 5 plus targets. 4 of the last 5 games at 3K for a tight end. Again, way too cheap. So with those cheap options at the flex, I went Alvin Kamara, 8,200. This offense is going to look different without Jameis. I mean, so we'll see what it looks like. So this could be a boomer bust play. But again, Alvin Kamara does Alvin Kamara things. So 8,200, why not?
I love that Conklin pick. That was my if I have to get rid of Cooper in the flex, I'm taking Conklin and using that 1,500 and upgrading Cooper. So, GG's on that.
Thank you.
So the reason why I mentioned mine is subject to change is there's a lot of things that could change in my lineup based on people playing and not playing. So obviously I'll have a more updated lineup going into Sunday slate. But it does look like it's going to be something similar to this. And at quarterback, I'm going, if he plays and if he's healthy, Taysom Hill at 5,500 at quarterback. He played very well at quarterback from a fantasy perspective last year, scoring 25 on average, about fantasy points per game against Atlanta twice. Who is he playing this week? Atlanta, and I think we can all agree Atlanta's worse now than they were last year. So I do like Taysom Hill. I'm worried about Alvin Kamara from a fantasy perspective only because he was not good while Taysom Hill was quarterback. But like you said, last year they had, Michael Thomas for some of the year. They had a lot of better weapons, or other weapons, I should say. They had the Tay Train. So they had some options there. I just don't know what we're going to see. I could see there being a lot more Ingram at running back because that's what it kind of was last year, but it remains to be seen. But I like Taysom Hill, 5,500. Wide receivers, I'm going Stephon Diggs, 7,700, starting to kind of figure it out. Scored a touchdown last week. Jamar Chase has a touchdown or 60 yards in every one of his games, and in most cases, both. He's just playing phenomenal right now. I'm so happy I drafted him in fantasy. And then I went Jamal Agnew versus Buffalo at 4,300, just on the simple fact that he seems to be getting like an insane amount of targets. And even though he's kind of an unknown from a fantasy perspective, there wasn't a lot of talk going into the season. I don't think a lot of people really knew anything about him. I think we can all agree that Jacksonville's going to be throwing a lot in this game because they're going to be losing and should lose the game outright. 4,300 just seems like the right price for a wide receiver 3. Tight end, I'm going 4,500 for Dallas Goedert. Homer pick there against the Chargers. I just needed a tight end in that price point, and, Jalen Hurts is going to be throwing to Goddard. He's the only tight end there. My running backs back-to-back, and then my flex, all 3. I went Gaskin against Houston at 5,800. They'll run the ball more in games that they should win. I'm going Booker against Vegas for 5,900. Looks like Barkley's not playing, but if he is, then obviously that's not a good pick. But
revenge game.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones will also check out a lot. We saw how many catches he had last week, just towards the end of the game. And then I also went Cordell Patterson, against Atlanta. I'm sorry, against
New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. He's just been playing great as well. I mean, he's such an important part of the offense, and who would have ever thought that they'd be saying that about a team that had Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. But, Patterson, looks like I wrote down 6,300. Sir, how much is he?
6,300, yeah.
Okay, so I got that right. And then we're all aligned on defense. I always go with the cheapest defense anyway, and I wasn't picking Houston, so give me the Chiefs at 2,300. So.
Spend that extra $100.
Yeah.
Mine of your team looks too close, man. I don't like it.
That's my team, I know. And now obviously we'll make some changes. But, Tim, why don't you let people know, if they don't already know, how to join our fantasy, DFS we do every Sunday for $3. Winner takes all. Looks like last week we got, 9 people?
It was either 9 or 10. I never checked towards the end, but I know we had 8 on Sunday morning, which more people in. I think it caps at 12, so the first 12 people in. So I normally share it on my personal Facebook page, but we could throw it out on our Twitter handle.
That's
if
a good
you guys
idea.
listen to that, or just message me, say you're interested, and I'll text it straight to you. Most of us are.
Yeah, it usually gets set up Sunday morning, so we're all in a rush to get people in there. So
yeah, maybe we can convince Mr. E to set it up, or maybe I'll just set it up this week because now I know how to, and just forward it out to the show. And anyone who's listening, if you're listening and you hear this, just text me and be like, "Yo, I want in next week." I'm like, "Well, you're gonna lose to us, but yeah, sure, come in. Yeah, we'll take $3 a pop.
Make that nice friendly donation." Sorry,
Nick, you're not gonna win this week. First of all, I know why Scott's not here. I think he lost a donkey dollar to OT about the Tom Brady the Patriots. Look at me, do another shot. The Tampa game. I know him. They were going back and forth.
They were going back and forth.
Tampa and New Orleans.
There was a donkey dollar in the air. You know what I'm saying?
There was something in the air.